Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Hammond, the proud principal of Cheltenham High School, and I am excited to welcome all of you to our school family. I know that starting high school, whether you're an incoming freshman or an upperclassman joining a new environment, can stir up a whole range of emotions, and that is completely normal. Here's the good news. You're not doing this alone. You have an incredible team of teachers, counselors, and staff that are here to support you. You are now part of a community that values diversity, equity, belonging, and inclusion, and one that is deeply committed to the social, emotional well being and mental health of our students. If you don't remember every detail we share tonight, that is okay. The presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our website. But there is one thing I do want you to remember. You belong here. You bring unique strengths, talents, and perspectives that will make our school better. High school is your chance to try new things, learn from mistakes, and grow into the best version of yourself. So don't be afraid to be yourself and get involved. To our families, thank you for choosing Cheltenham. We look forward to partnering with you in the years ahead. So take a deep breath and get ready for a year filled with learning, laughter, and yes, a few surprises. At Cheltenham High School, pride isn't just a word, it is an acronym that reminds us of the character traits that lead us to success in life: perseverance, respect, integrity, dependability, and empathy. We can't wait to see you live out Panther pride, because in Cheltenham High School, pride is Cheltenham. We felt the best way to get started tonight was with a short video highlighting some of the amazing students and activities from this past year. Like to go ahead and name and introduce my administrative team in the order that they will be presenting tonight. So first up, we would have Dr. Callens. Then we would have Mrs. Lennon, Mrs. Felgois, Mr. Hoff, and last but not least, the Director of Athletics and Activities, Mr. Sheridan. One of the programs that's offered in the high school is project-based learning, PBL. And last year, the 10th grade PBL team put on a superheroes exhibition and playfully made all of the admin team into superheroes. So I wanted to end my portion by showing you the Avengers that will always be there every step of the way with you and are always available when you need us. So tonight, as we officially begin, we are going to be covering these following topics. We're going to start off with IDs and Chromebooks. We're going to talk about supports that are put in place for students. We're going to have some information from the nursing department. Then we're going to talk about academics. We're going to talk about Panther Prep, school attendance, activities and athletics, as well as information about food services. And with that being said, I would like to introduce Dr. Callens.
Hello, hello. Good evening, families. I am so excited. I am a vice principal and also will be in charge of the ninth graders. So, yes, they will be my babies, and I'm very excited to really just build a healthy community and wrap my arms around them to really help them to be very successful at Shellham High School. All right, so some things to just take in consideration for ID cards. ID cards will also be distributed during the first week of school in homerooms. Now, if you lose your ID, there will be a $5 fee to replace that particular cards. Freshmen are at this opportunity, they are allowed to come in school from 9 to 2 p.m. this week to be able to take their photograph and receive their ID card. Next week, the time slot will be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Office 101. Chromebooks. We will be issuing Chromebooks and they will be able and available for pickup during the first week of school. If there is a damaged Chromebook, students need to report to the library to get them repaired and to be issued a loaner. If they are lost or stolen, there is a $280 replacement fee. For the levels of support for our ninth graders, we have Mr. Paul Bryant will be our school counselor. For our entire building, we have Miss Mangum, who will be our emotional and wellness counselor. We also receive services from Elders Gate from a counselor named Mrs. Jones that help our children who have some difficulties or some challenges with nicotine and vape abuse. For safety support, we have an anonymous tip line. These tips right here can be made using the following. There's an app that you can be able to download that is safe to say something. Also, you can be able to report information on their website, safetosaypa.org, or the hotline. You can call the hotline 1-800-44 Safe to Say. When submitting a tip, the tipster must associate themselves with a school, can be used for mental health, wellness, self harm, inappropriate adult encounter interaction, abuse, or mental or physical altercations that could arise. Next, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Miss Lennon, our other vice principal.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Lennon. I am one of the vice principals. I am also the LEA. So if you or if your student have an IEP, I am the person that you might want to talk to. You will also be getting emails soon enough from your case managers just introducing themselves. But if you have any questions, if your student receive any type of special education services, you can see me. I am also Dr. Collins' suite mate. So in 101, you'll find his office, and in my office is right next door to 101. So you can find us both in the same location. So, as Dr. Collins mentioned, that Mr. Bryant is your counselor, but the rest of the school, if you have any siblings, older siblings, we have changed the kind of the orientation of who our students are seeing and being supported by our counselors, which is shown here. You'll also get this information soon enough, and this will be posted on our school website. Now, I know that there are times where you may have some concerns or family members would like to address teachers, and a way to navigate those classroom concerns is that at the beginning of every year, you will get a course expectation sheet, and you'll get that the first week of school from the student's teacher, and there you'll find their contact information. We ask that you provide send an email, and also too, if you want to recall back, you can request that in the email. But that is the best way for you to contact your teachers or even us, and to get a more expedited response. And then, but don't forget that each one of us is here to support you. All of the administrators are here to help, as well as the counselors will be available. As Dr. Collins stated, we do have a drug and alcohol counselor, but one of the things we just want to make sure that, vaping, nicotine, drug use, all of that is not allowed in schools. We do have a school board policy, AR 218. You can check that out on our school board website and what that is outlined in regarding drug and alcohol. But we do offer supports and services, and we can get them to you through our counseling services. Miss Forte is one of our school nurses. This is her information. You can find her. She's actually right across the hall from where you get your pictures taken. That is our school nurse's office in room 101. So a couple things about the nurse. Students, you always need to have a pass. So you need to ask your teacher. They'll write you a note to see the nurse's office. Families, you should not send your students with medication. Please make sure you're in contact. If there's anything that you would like the nurse to know, make sure that's updated with her. And like I said, we will share this and you'll be able to reach out to speak to her directly about any health concerns. One thing that I want to make mention of is that you can receive Tylenol and ibuprofen, but we need to make sure of the proper permission signed by the guardian, and you can get that from the nurse's office. If the nurse says that, if they advise that you come, that you need an early dismissal, students must report to the nurse's office to have the nurse send them home. I know sometimes that students may call you and say, hey, I don't feel well, mom, come pick me up. But we want to make sure that the nurse is aware of those things. So no student leaving for illness will be sent unless they make sure they see the nurse's office. So parents, just be mindful of that if your student does call you, just to make sure they tell them to go to the nurse, and then we'll follow the sign out procedures from there. And for any other reason for early dismissals, this year, we just ask that you come in. There is a check-in process, and then you will go through the vestibule through the main office, in the main office, and then they will contact the attendance office to have your student be sent down, and then you will wait in the main office. Please note the times listed here. So unscheduled early dismissals need to take place prior to 2 p.m. due to the end of the school day, because we do dismiss at 2:30 and 11:30 a.m. on the 12 p.m. dismissal days, on half days. And now I will go to Ms. Felgois.
Good evening and welcome. My name's Lori Felgois. I'm one of the vice principals here at Cheltenham High School. We will be looking at some of the academics tonight. On this slide, it shows some examples of the requirements for graduation that it needed to take place. These are just some examples. I'm going to share with you all of the requirements of classes. Students need 4 math credits. One of those math credits needs to be Algebra 1 unless they've completed it in middle school. Students need 4 English credits, 4 science credits, but must include biology. They need 4 social studies credits, and government would be part of that credit. Financial literacy, unless they are a current 12th grade student. They must complete 1 credit of physical education. Our physical education classes are half credit courses, so that would mean that they would need to take 2 physical education classes. They would also need to take a health course. They need 1 year minimum of a world language, but we do strongly encourage the students to take 2 years, especially if they're pursuing a 4-year college. And then the remaining credits are elective credits. All of this information is on the Cheltenham High School webpage. It's under the course tab, under the tab labeled course. For your reference, the document is extremely helpful. It will show you all of the offerings. There's more than 145 pages of information for you to use. Students will work with their counselors in order to map out their courses, what they want to take, and then also meeting the requirements that are necessary. I had mentioned different electives. We offer a number of electives at Cheltenham High School. If a student is interested in, say, broadcasting, we have a TV productions class where we actually have a TV studio. We have amazing music program for our choral and instrumental. We have great selection of art classes, including drawing classes, photography, We have culinary art classes, human anatomy, robotics, and the list goes on with the number of electives that we offer at Cheltenham High School. We also offer more than 30 advanced placement courses. These are classes that offer college-level curriculum. Our district has supported our students by funding the cost of one AP exam each year when the student is taking the AP course. So this is an excellent opportunity for our students. At the high school, Dr. Hammond had mentioned we also offer project-based learning. This is where students are in a small cohort and they work with a team of teachers and they're involved in hands-on activities in inquiry-based learning. In addition to the programs that we have within our building, we also, you can go back, yep, back one more. So besides the programs that we have within our building, we also offer programs with the Eastern Center for Technology and Arts, which is located in Willow Grove. We currently have more than 110 students who spend half their day at Eastern and the other half of the day with us in the building completing their requirements or required courses. The time that they spend at Eastern does fulfill their elective credit. And this opportunity is available to students starting in their junior year. And some of the really popular programs that they have at Eastern are, for example, cosmetology. They have allied health, electrical technology, vet sciences, just to name a few of the offerings there. Another highlight at CHS is that we provide opportunities for students to participate in dual enrollment. Students could take courses either in person or virtual, which allows students to obtain college credit while they're at high school. Okay, next slide, please. We identified the class requirements. At the end of each school year, a student also needs a certain number of credits to move on to the next grade. In order to move on to sophomore status, students need 7 credits. In order to move on to junior status, they need 14, senior status, 21 credits, and then the graduation minimum is 28 credits. The student, based on their schedule, has the opportunity to get 8 credits each year. What students do from day one at the high school really does matter. A transcript and a student's GPA begins with their freshman year. Report cards are available to families after each marking period, and this helps you to see how your student is doing. But the grade that the student receives at the end of the course is what will go on to the transcript. Transcripts are what your counselor uses to share with colleges. It can be used for scholarship opportunities and also in some cases for job opportunities. So the transcript is the official academic document. In order to keep track of the academics, we use 2 main platforms. We use PowerSchool as our student information system, which will provide students and families information such as attendance, grades, and it's also where you'll find the report cards. Each student has their own login. So students, in order to log in, if you are a freshman this year, you would use 29 for your cohort, the year that you would graduate. The first letter of your first name and your last name, and then your student ID number would be your password. It would be 00 and then your student ID. Parents and guardians can also have access to PowerSchool, and we definitely suggest that you would also monitor. The other platform is Canvas. Students would log on using the same way. They use their CHS email, and then their passcode would be the 00 and their student ID number. Canvas is used by teachers to post assignments. It houses materials, and it's a way for teachers to communicate with students. Students also use this platform to submit their work to their teachers. Parents and guardians are also encouraged to create their own Canvas login so they can view student assignments and class resources. As a parent or guardian, if you do not currently have a login, if you go to the Cheltenham High School webpage and you go to where it says families, there's step-by-step directions on how to create the login. If at any time you have any concerns or have difficulty creating, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and we can help you with that step. So lockers, all students are assigned a locker. Every year, the combinations are changed on the lockers. We strongly encourage you, and we ask that your students do not share their locker combination with another student. We ask that they do not share the locker with any other students. This is a safe place for students to put their items. They can use this to put in their coats, their lunch, and any additional materials that they have throughout the day. What I would suggest is that the student goes to the locker in the morning. They drop off the materials that they don't need at that time. They have the materials for the morning classes. They can stop back at the locker during lunch to collect their lunch and any afternoon materials, and then stop back at the locker at the end of the day. So at this time, I want to introduce Mr. Hoff, also vice principal, and he will talk about what a typical school day looks like for a student.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Hoff, and I've been a proud member of our community since 2009. Dr. Callan, you can go ahead. Okay, so when our students enter the building, whether it's by bus or being dropped off, there are going to be scholarship machines at the entrances that students use. So, we issue students ID cards. Those ID cards should be with students every day, and they should use those ID cards to both scan in when they first enter the building every day. They're also going to use those ID cards to go into the cafeteria. Now, because we need to finish distribution, these machines won't be used with the scholarship cards on the first day, but this will, we'll get this in place for the second day. Students also have the ability to use their student ID numbers to access these machines. However, we strongly encourage the students to use the ID cards. It is a much more efficient system, and it makes everything much more effective. So ID cards. When we are now in the building and we have students that start entering the building, a little after 7 o'clock, the buses will start arriving at that point. Our day really starts at 7:30. And so for the first 2 weeks of school, we're going to use an extended homeroom process to do all kinds of, first 2 weeks of school stuff. And then when we get to the third week, we are going to enter into Panther Prep. And Panther Prep is designed to be a process to ease us into our day. It's a time for students to get the support they need. It's also a time for students to get enrichment activities. So it's going to occur between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, starting the third week of school. In the second semester, we're also going to have approximately a 2-week period of time where we pause Panther Prep again to do resetting activities for the second semester. And then, after that, go back into having our Panther Prep. So it's from 7:30 to 8. Students are going to have the ability to pick activities to do. If they're interested in participating in some of our programs in the gym area, they can pick a series of activities that'll be there. If they're interested in enrichment and certain things that teachers are offering, they can pick those even if they are teachers that they don't have. It's also a period of time where if students need additional support, if students have a D or an F, and for our freshmen, if students have a C, a D, or an F, teachers are going to be scheduling students for sessions to get the support that they need. So it's really an opportunity for us to support students in a variety of ways. We are also going to, every student in the building has access to free breakfast, and that period of time to get the food will be open for most of Panther Prep. Okay, so we have 2 primary schedules. Every once in a while, another one might pop in for a specific reason. But for most of the year, once we are going to be in that Panther Prep schedule. So from 7:30 to 8, that's Panther Prep. Homeroom is a little over 10 minutes. It's going to start at 8:04. That's our official attendance point of the day. It's going to be an opportunity for students to have a check-in with a specific adult every day, to receive announcements, to receive programming through our guidance department, and a variety of other things that we can do in that period. We have 4 academic blocks during the day, block 1, 2, 3, and 4. We run on a BG schedule. So you're going to see a B in Power School, you're going to see a G in Power School. Our majors, most of our majors run every day for 90 days. So semester 1 and then semester 2. Some of them run all year long, like our world language classes. And then we have minors, like our music classes, our art classes, our gym classes, which run on a B day or a G day in one of the semesters. So this will all, the students will get this in a printed schedule. But you can see that each block is 80 minutes long. We are running 2 lunches during block 3. Students will either have lunch at the beginning of block 3 or at the end of block 3. Additionally, we do have an early dismissal schedule. All early dismissals this year are scheduled for Fridays, and there's approximately 1 a month instead of 2 a month. And you'll see during those early dismissals, we will not have Panther Prep. Students will go directly to homeroom, and then we'll proceed through the day with a 12 o'clock dismissal. Okay, attendance. Being in school is extremely important, especially in a high school setting where students are, making academic progress towards graduation and their goals after they've completed their time in Cheltenham High School. Students, need to be here in our school. And so there's a variety of things that are in place to support students that are struggling with that. When students have 3 unexcused absences, a warning letter is going to be sent home. When we hit that, after that 6th unexcused absence, there's going to be significant guidance interaction, and there's going to be interaction potentially with our home and school visitor. If what we put in place at that time is not successful, there also can be court interaction with our local magistrate. There are additional details for this in the student handbook. And what this really means, if a student is out of school legitimately, next slide, Dr. Callens, we need, the documentation for that. So if you have an early dismissal and it's going to, pre-scheduled early dismissal, please send an email to CHS attendance by 7 o'clock that day. And that will help us facilitate helping, your student being ready for you when you need that student. All sign in, sign out comes through our attendance office, which is in the main office area. Dr. Callens. When you look at Power School, you're going to see 3 primary codes. The first is it's an excused absence. So the student was not in school and documentation was provided, doctor's note, college visit, documentation was provided so that it was a legally excused absence from school. Those don't count towards anything in the truancy category. The second one are unexcused. And when a student is absent, if we don't have the documentation, it goes right in as unexcused, and you have 3 days to clear that unexcused. And then the other code that you're going to see often in Power School is tardy unexcused, meaning we're late to school and we don't have an excuse note for that lateness. And both the unexcused and the tardy unexcused build up over time and lead to administrative interactions with consequences attached to them. So the key interaction point in our attendance process is through our attendance office, which is run by Miss Patsy Jarvis. She can be reached directly through CHS attendance at cheltenham.org. You're going to want to have the student name on the email. You're going to want to have the grade. You're going to want to have the reason for absence. Student ID number is very helpful also if you have access to it. And again, this any unexcused absence needs to be cleared up within 3 days of students returning to school. Dr. Callens. So if we have more than 3 consecutive days, we need a doctor's note for that. After 10 days of unexcused absence, the students are actually dropped from our rolls. And so we have to do a readmission process for a student that wants to return to Cheltenham High School. Okay, again, there are a variety of reasons for a student to be excused from school. So college visits are a prime example. College visits can be excused, by a parent through email confirmation from the college. Additionally, you can request an educational trip, and we can excuse 5 days for that. Please note that there is a form for that, and it needs to be submitted at least 2 weeks prior to the planned trip. Okay, and with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Sheridan, our athletic director and fellow vice principal.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff. Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Hammond introduced me earlier, Mr. Hoff just did, my name is Mr. Sheridan, and I'm the newest member of the administration team joining Cheltenham last January. or this past January. I'm here to give a very brief overview of what our athletic and activities department encompasses here at Cheltenham High School. And I'll start off by saying that it is, I look at it as a privilege to be able to oversee the vast offerings that we have here. We don't have to jump to the next slide yet, Dr. Collins, but I'll say now that we offer over 30 varsity PIAA sports, an additional 60 clubs and activities. On top of that, research has consistently shown that students who get involved in extracurriculars have higher self-esteem, they perform better academically, and they feel more connected to the community. So whenever I get a chance to speak with freshmen or incoming students, I always encourage parents and students, get your kids involved in activities, get them involved in athletics, and we truly have, there is something here for every student, from the fall play to the GSA to the JSU, and then to any of the various athletic teams that we offer. So the first slide here is talking about NCAA eligibility. For freshmen, this is not extremely important right now to focus on. The most important thing freshman students can do is to make sure they are attaining their credits every single year. As Ms. Felgoys mentioned earlier, they will have the chance to acquire 7 credits, and that'll just move them forward in the NCAA eligibility if they want to become a Division I or Division II athlete. The 2.3 GPA requirement you see there is for any Division I aspiring student athlete, and a 2.2 GPA would be any aspiring Division II athlete. For the Division III level, which is focused more on less on competitive play and more on participation, there is no GPA requirement for NCAA. However, this is an important facet to focus on now in 9th grade if you are considering playing at the Division I or Division II level. And you'll see there in small print, the NCAA is not an all-encompassing GPA calculation. They take 16 core courses and calculate that over the 4 years. So the electives and the half-credit courses that might be quote-unquote fluff or GPA boosting do not take into account for an NCAA eligibility requirement. So parents, something to keep in mind as your student is going through 9th, 10th, 11th grade, making sure those core courses, the English, the math, the science, the social studies, the languages, they are passing them with at least a C+ or higher and maintaining that high average. It's something, unfortunately, that some students who are that Division I or Division II talent, they weren't made aware of early enough, and they're scrambling to try to make up credits. The last thing I'll say on top of that is that we do offer credit recovery through MVP, which is an online self-paced program. Those courses are not eligible under NCAA eligibility. So if you have a junior thinking, oh, I can make up a quick recovery course here over the summer, that unfortunately does not fall under a eligible course in the NCAA's eyes. So something to keep in mind. And when your students get there, and if you want to start those conversations, really sophomore year with me, I'm always available. Thank you, Dr. Collins. Next slide. So daily class attendance, as Mr. Hoff just mentioned, student athletes are really that. They're students first, and they have to be in class daily. In fact, we have a time if they come in after 11 a.m. and they have a game or practice that day, and if it's not an excused absence, they will be ineligible to participate in practice or that game. Again, if it's unexcused. We really value students being students first here at Cheltenham. And it's something that we are going to be rolling out through the new student athlete handbook, which would be being published the next 2 weeks, but is currently accessible on the cheltenham.org website under athletics. It will outline the daily attendance protocol for student athletes and any student involved in extracurriculars, as well as the other academic eligibility policies. So teachers can submit an absence and reduce credit in accordance with the student late work policy. Skipping classes will result with progressive disciplinary actions and could even lead to temporary removal from participation in after-school athletics and activities. So again, we're really focusing on students being students and scholars in the classroom first, understanding that athletic and extracurricular participation is a privilege. It is not a right. Thank you, Dr. Collins. And so, as I mentioned earlier, over 60 clubs, including the Student Council, the Black Student Union, the National Honor Society, to name a few, over 26 PIAA varsity sports offered over the fall, winter, and spring. this past Monday, August 11th, was actually our first official PIAA start date of the fall season. I know many of you incoming freshmen have already been doing preseason and tryouts for those fall teams, as we've been in communication with Cedarbrook to push that information out. And we also offer unified sports. So in the fall, we have unified cheer, we have unified bocce in the winter, and then in the spring, we have unified track and field. Some of you may be wondering, what is unified sports? That is where some of our special education students and our regular education students compete on combined teams that is recognized by the PIAA, but has a less competitive focus and is more inclusion based for our students with special needs to be able to feel that level of competition and get involved in extracurricular. So we're very proud to be offering unified sports here. Not all districts do, but it's something that we really support here, and we have great student turnout across the board. Parents, the most important thing currently you can do if you want your student involved in a PIAA sport for this fall, winter, or spring is make sure they have a valid PIAA pre-participation evaluation form. Many parents think that a school physical is sufficient. They are two different forms. So for the PIAA CIPPE, CIPPE, it's called, the Comprehensive Initial Pre-Participation Evaluation, they need a physician or another certified medical provider that is listed on the physical to clear them for higher, aerobic, anaerobic exercises to be able to compete. It's not just a school physical. Nurse Donnell will handle those, but we need those PIAA physicals, and there's 5 pages of consent forms as well. You can upload those to the Big Teams website, which all that information you can find on the CheltenhamOrg website for uploading physicals. We also have a full-time athletic trainer, Joe Beck, who is at the high school and manages, the hundreds of athletes and their physicals that we have. So again, in summary, parents, please get a PIAA physical. As of May 2025, it's valid for the entire school year up until June of 2026, and will cover any spring athletes through that postseason next spring. You can take that physical, upload it to Big Teams. Our athletic trainer, Joe, will check off on it and verify that your student athlete can participate. You can also download that form and turn it into Joe's office in person, or you can leave it at the main office in my mailbox, and I will make sure it gets to Joe. But again, no student participating in PIAA sports is eligible to participate unless they are cleared with a PIAA physical. Thanks, Dr. Collins. And so last but not least, we have the food service program here. As mentioned earlier, we have a national school lunch program eligibility for free and reduced lunch based off of household income and need. So families must apply and reapply by October of each school year to be considered for this. And again, that is based off of household income. And the reason you have to reapply every year, similar to the FAFSA form for seniors graduating to college, is that your income situation and your family situation could change. So if your income increases or decreases, you might become ineligible or eligible depending on that. And again, that is something that our district is going to send out before October 1st of each year and really advertise, hey, please remember to reapply for the free and reduced lunch program at Cheltenham High School. And it is linked here, and we will, again, make sure it's shared out through the social media platforms and Dr. Hammond's Sunday message. And I'm going to pass it back to the principal, Dr. Hammond. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. So we just threw a lot of information at all of you. We did not want tonight to be an overwhelming of facts. We also plan tomorrow, if you are able to attend, a barbecue at the high school. There will be food trucks there for you to get something to eat. You can also schedule to take a tour of the building. But we wanted to use that time to make it more personable so that we can connect and have conversations. Tonight, we just wanted to throw out some important information that you need to start the year. And so with that being said, we will kind of open it up to questions. You can, and I should have said this from the beginning. And actually, before I even say that, let me apologize because I know a lot of families had a hard time signing in tonight. there was an issue with the link. And so if you were one in that category, I apologize for that inconvenience. I'm glad that you were able to, I know a few families were texting each other and figured it out. And so I appreciate that you guys were able to work together to get on here. But I'm sorry for that inconvenience. And so to ask questions, there is a Q&A on there in the chat. You can type into both so that you can get your questions put out there, and then we can try to answer them as they come in. We'll take a couple minutes for that, but we'll also be available tomorrow in person to have conversations and are responsive through emails. So I see one question. What is the school doing to minimize cell phone use in school? And so what I would say that is an issue that we have all been discussing over time. It just disappeared. There we go. So at the high school, we do not allow cell phones in the classrooms. That is a classroom management issue. Teachers will all have that as part of their classroom expectations. Some teachers utilize the cell phone pouches to offer some incentives, some positive reinforcement of giving up your cell phone. But if that is not being utilized by the student, there will be progressive discipline that will take place and conversations that will take place with the family to make sure that we are getting rid of the cell phone during that instruction time, because we really need to be focused on instruction. As the other questions that are open are being answered at the moment. Schedule of classes, I believe by Friday, the I believe by Friday, the school district is opening up all of the schedules in Power School across the district. So if you have a child that's also in an elementary school, you'll be able to see everything at that time as well. Everything is in Power School. Your child will also be receiving an email from myself with their locker combination, as well as their homeroom, because on the first day of school, when they come in, they're going to report straight to their homerooms, and their homerooms will have another listing for them of their schedule and beginning our day's activities and walking them through the different assemblies and everything that we're handing out and going over. I did see a question in there about if my child has a mental health day. Is it considered an unexcused absence? Anytime your child misses school for any reason and you are not sending in a note to say that this is the reason your child is missing, it is considered an unexcused absence. After a parent submits their own notes of up to 10 days, I believe it's 10 days, you're not allowed to submit a note any longer. So if this is now the 11th time that you've written into the attendance office and said, my child is going to be out for this reason, the attendance office will reply back and will let you know that you have exhausted your list of reasons of excuse notes, and every note after that needs to be from a doctor if a child is missing. So just kind of answering that question.
One thing I also wanted to make mention of is that I know many of our students take the yellow bus, but if you are a family member who will be dropping your student off in the morning, just please be mindful that we use kind of a carpool lane, but also in the morning time in our student parking lot. That's that large parking lot. And if you come tomorrow, we can show you where that is, where you will drop your students off in the morning. and they will be able to enter and sign in and tap in with their IDs from that entrance if you do that in that morning. Just be mindful in the morning. We also have our other buses coming through there. So sometimes just giving you the heads up, it can be congested in between that 7 to 7:30 because we do have a lane for car drop off, and then we also have our buses coming through, yellow buses coming through there as well. So I just wanted to be mindful of that.
Tomorrow's activities start at 5 o'clock. I believe there are 3 scheduled tours, 5, 5:30, and 6, for anyone that does want a tour. So on the website is a list of our clubs and groups. However, I have to say that there is literally a club for every set of interest at our school. And there's also students that have an interest in something and they don't see a club, and then they work through Mr. Sheridan's office and find a teacher that's willing to support them, and they start a club. There really is not a deadline to sign up. There will be an activities fair that takes place during lunch in the beginning of the school year so that students can learn about all the different clubs and see what is being offered, and as well as some of the athletic programs. Even I think the one year our robotics team even brought the robot out and did a demonstration for the school in front of the school.
And I just linked the website where it lists all the clubs and the sports that we currently host and offer.
Ski masks are not allowed in school, so if they are seen, students are asked to immediately take them off. If it is a repeat offense, they may get them confiscated. But that is something that we are focusing on, making sure that students are not wearing their hoods, their ski masks, and things like that. To us, it's a safety issue. We need to be able to see and know who is in our buildings at all times. And so we do not tolerate that. When student, oh, I see Hoff is already answering the bell schedule. Just so I can also say with the lunches that was just answered, not only will they see it in Power School when that time is, but the lunch is actually going to tell them if they have first lunch or second lunch. And based on the lunch that they have in the schedule, it means if you have first lunch, you're going to lunch first, and then you're going to go do your entire third block class. If you have second lunch, you're going to do your entire third block class and then go to lunch. And our scholarship machines will be utilized during lunch because they're able to read every student's schedule. So when a student goes into the cafeteria and they swipe into the scholarship machine, it will tell us whether or not they have first lunch or second lunch. Give a few more minutes. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. The app for the bus routes. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. I apologize. Admin team, you guys have that? While we're coming up with that answer, I'm not going to end it until we get that one. Stop Finder. Boom. Thank you, anonymous attendee. I appreciate that. To the rescue. In terms of college tours, We do offer, our guidance counselors will sometimes do a tour. I know they did an HBCU tour. Different organizations offer tours that we support. But throughout the year, we do have opportunities that are open for students to go on college tours. Students also have that excused option to go on a school visit themselves. And we also have several schools that come into the school to, like, especially like for instant decision day. And they'll come and they'll meet with students, they'll review their records and let them know by the time the person's leaving if that student is accepted to that program. So yes, we do have those opportunities at the high school. About another minute.
Dr. Hammond, want to touch upon DoorDash?
Ah, yes, we did not talk about that. We do not allow DoorDash, Uber Eats, any of those delivery services. Now, parents, if you say you want to feed your child and you bring it to the school, you're allowed to do that. You can bring in the food and drop it off at the attendance office, and we will make sure that your child gets that meal. However, we do not allow a DoorDash person coming to the building and then waiting around for a student to try to sneak out a door to get the food. If that happens, the food will be confiscated. We're not mean, so I might give it to them later in the day, but they're not going to have that food at that moment. That is something we do not allow, and it is not encouraged. It is a safety issue. The people that are delivering that food, they are not cleared to be around kids. We don't know who they are, and God forbid that someone goes out and it's not who they thought it was. So that is something that we highly discourage. And, again, we will accommodate you if you bring it and make sure that your child gets it, but please don't encourage that to happen. In terms of getting information of events, um, every Sunday I will be sending out a Sunday evening message with all the information coming up for the week. So that is the best way of knowing what's going on. I'll be making sure that I'm always in touch with the activities director to make sure that that's also included in my messages. But that is the best way for a parent to find out. I know a lot of our sponsors will send it out through like the Instagram accounts for the class, but that's not always the best way for a parent to stay aware. So every Sunday, you'll get an email from me, roughly around 6 p.m. once school starts, and that will basically give you the upcoming week, everything you need to know, what's the schedule for each day, which days classes it is, and what are the activities that are being offered, whether it's from the Parents Association, PTO, or our school activities. I bet you all of us have a different answer to this question. What are the most important things students should know about navigating the school and its resources? For me, it's don't be afraid to ask. We're all here for you. We will guide you in the right direction. We'll listen to what your interests are and offer you an array of things. Um, there's a lot of supports, there's a lot of opportunities. It could be overwhelming if you were given a list. So start to build that relationship, that connection with somebody, and have those conversations. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring back homeroom. We kind of lost that connectivity with staff and students over the years and building of a community. And so having that period of time allows a teacher to do exactly what you just asked to check in with that group of students every day and build that community within that classroom to help those students feel more connected to the school. To start increasing our school spirit, getting involved in blue and gold. I remember when I first started at Cheltenham, when it came time for Halloween, the people that didn't dress up were the ones that stood out. Um, Getting back to that environment and that school spirit and that culture within the building where we're all engaged, we're connected, and everyone has that sense that they belong. That is a good question that we're going to talk about as we go through this year, because this is the first year we're bringing back homerooms in this fashion. Whether we would keep a teacher for the same 4 years or have that rotate. The easiest answer is to have it rotate, but as we go through and we see how it's working and we're talking to the students and getting that feedback, that is something that we will be looking at. And so with all that being said, let me thank you again for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to be here with us. I really hope I get to see you in person tomorrow evening. I'm really looking forward to this school year and the opportunities that we have to continue making Cheltenham the place that we all know that it is, and putting out that positive message to everyone in the community of all the great things that we are doing at Cheltenham High School. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And good night.